G'day guys, welcome back to another AFL time tipping video. In today's video we are going through my round 9 AFL tips plus predictions of the week, and I do apologise for the late upload again. I'll either be uploading my tips on the Monday or the Tuesday now. So a bit uncertain there. Reason why they're late again, because I had to fly on the plane to Melbourne, obviously coming back, didn't get back till last night, so couldn't really film them, so hope you enjoy anyways. I had a disgusting week last week. I got a big fat 3 out of 8. I did not do good at all. I only got 3 out of 8, as you know, and it started off poorly. I went with the power by 10. This could really have gone anywhere. I know Adelaide were coming into this match with only 2 wins, but they will be looking to bounce back. They ended up winning by 30. I thought it was really poor from Port. They couldn't score. They were inaccurate. They probably would have scored and maybe even won the game if they were more accurate. But yeah, Crows getting it done by 30. Then on the Friday, I started off 0-2. I went with the Blues by 7. Carlton won by 6 in a thriller. Nick Dacos being the star there, obviously. So disappointed about that one. Fair play to Collingwood. I went with the Giants. Now, this was pretty much 50-50 one, even though that the Swans ended up winning by at least 5 goals in this one. Swans won by 29. It's a 50-50 one, but I think after half-time, the Swans just pulled away and showed that maybe they're the better team this season. We don't really know because the Giants have been versing some easy opponents. But yeah, I thought I'd back in the Giants a bit of an upset. Swans ended up getting done, so I'm 0-3. This is where things start to get better, and I got the correct scoreline for this one. I went to Saints by 34, actually won by 38. Sort of what I was expecting. We were able to kick 100 in this one. It was a great game. I was at this game, obviously, being a Saints fan in Melbourne. Flew over there, so that's why the tips were out late, by the way. But yeah, Saints won by 38 there. Nicely done there. Pretty happy with that result. Then I thought I'd back in the Cats. They've been probably the better team this year, but Melbourne showed their class and gave Geelong their first loss. This could have gone again, this was another 50-50 game, just chose the wrong side, and yeah, I chose Geelong by 15. Melbourne ended up winning, so credit to Melbourne. The good things about my tips were this week is that I got the correct scoreline for most of them. Went with Essendon by 14. They only ended up winning by 6. I was watching the last probably 5 minutes of this game. West Coast were coming. They're certainly improving, West Coast. They only had the 6-point loss over here in Perth. So yeah, but Essendon still did win there, so that was good. Went with Freo by 19. This was my last tip that I got correct. They actually won by 54. In the end, it was a blowout. And this is probably one of the only AFL games I've gone to where I actually sat on my phone because I'm not even a Dockers fan, and if I was a Dockers fan, this was poor, sort of like the Saints North game. Like if I went to that game and I wasn't a Saints or a North fan, I'd probably just sit on my phone the whole time. But yeah, Freo ended up thrashing them there, and this is the game that really annoyed me. I backed in the Hawks, as you know, by 7 to get an I think it was 17 to get an upset, and 2 minutes before the game, when I was walking back from the Freo-Richmond game, I decided to change it just because I think that the Dogs are the better side. I change it. And then I see the scores. The Dogs were up like 3-0, and I was like, oh, luckily I changed it. I was watching the last quarter of this game. They blew it, and the Hawks won. I'm really angry with the Dogs. I could have got 4. I had a poor week, so technically I got this right, but I changed my tip. So I don't get it right. Went the Dogs by 31 in the end. Should have just stuck with the Hawks. The Dogs, they're so unreliable. They've really annoyed me this week. So yeah, I got that one wrong technically. Brisbane won by 34. I went the Lions by 21. Got the correct score. Actually, I did get... Hang on, I did get 4 this week. I forgot about this game. 4 out of 8 still. 4 out of 9 still. It's not the best. So, let's get into the tips. And we start off Thursday night with an epic game between Carlton and Melbourne. Carlton, as of late, have been pretty disappointing. They've only won 1 out of their last 3 games, Carlton. They probably shouldn't have had that loss to Adelaide earlier in the season, because when they play good opponents now, they've had that extra loss, and now they have 3 losses, and they currently just sitting 8th. Who would have thought after round 8, Carlton would only just be in the 8? Melbourne, on the other hand, only 1 loss this season. Actually 2 losses, but in their last 10, they're looking pretty good. Only that 1 loss, obviously. I'm going to tip Melbourne here. I think that Melbourne have been playing just a little bit better as of late, to be honest with you. They had a win over that great win over Geelong, so I'm going to tip the D's to get it done here by. I'll go with the D's by 16. I think this one should be a win for the D's. Again, this is a 50-50 one because Carlton will probably be able to look. They'll probably be looking to bounce back, but I think Melbourne will get a bit of revenge from that prelim last year and win that one Thursday. Again, a real 50-50 game, and I'm back in Melbourne. Then Friday night, we have a double header on Friday night, Freo on Sydney and Geelong and Port. Anyway, at GMHBA Stadium, we have Geelong taking on Port. Now, this should be, I think this should be a fair game to watch. I think that the Power will be looking to bounce back after last week's loss. Same with the Cats, really. Both sides saw a loss this week. Last week, Geelong saw their first. They were 7-0, and then they lost one, obviously, to Melbourne, in which again they were really in, but Melbourne were just probably the better team in the end. I think I'm going to back in Geelong to get a bounce-back win. I just think that it's at GMHBA. I think that they should be bouncing back. This could be a bit big of a margin, but I haven't tipped many blowouts this year. I'm doing it. I'm going to go with the Cats to win by 45. I know that may seem a bit harsh to Port, but I just don't really like the way they've been playing as of late. They're sort of like Carlton, Port Adelaide. They started off really well 3-0, and now they're starting to show signs that maybe they're not the best. They've had a loss win, so that, yeah, I haven't been too convincing. I'm going to go with the Cats by a whopping 45 points. GMHBR, I think that's going to be a blowout, to be honest. I just can't see Port getting the job done. Anyways, at Optus Stadium, 6:30 my time. I think this is the latest we've ever had a game this year. It's Freo taking on the Swans at Optus Stadium. Now, I really think with the way that Freo played last week, I know it was only against a Richmond side who probably had a VFL team, but, even though it was scrappy to watch, Freo just, in the end, they pulled away. They kicked, I think, 6 goals in that last quarter to really just build on percentage. You want to be doing that against those poor sides like Richmond. Sydney had a pretty convincing win in the end against the Giants, 50-50 game, but the Swans just outclassed them in the end. So, yeah, credit to them at their home ground. I need to tip some upsets this season. This is going to be my upset, and no, I'm not going to change it. I know I have changed my upset tips lately towards the end of the season, towards just before the game, but I'm not. I promise you, I won't change my tip. I'm going to go with the Dockers. I'll back them in. I just really like the way that they played. It was sloppy, but I'm going to back them in for the upset. Why not? Let's go with Freo by 14. I'm going to go with them in a Friday night upset with the double header, a blowout, and then we see Freo win by a close 14 points at Optus Stadium. I'm going to do it. I'm going to back in Sydney. You just never know sometimes. It's a bit of a wider ground Optus, so yeah, we'll see how that plays up for the Swans. But I'm backing in the Dockers. I don't usually tip them in many upsets, but I think they've deserved it, to be honest. Then Saturday afternoon, we have the Hawks taking on my Saints. Now, my Saints, not impressive. We were always going to get the win over North. A bit of a, gutsy 38-point win. I'll take it because we kicked 100. But, yeah. Anyways, the Hawks have been pretty good on form. They've 2-3 in their last 3. They're 2-1 in their last 3, but they have just been a bit of a disappointment, haven't they? They've won, then they've lost by 76 points, and they've got an upset win over the Dogs. So I thought coming into this match before the Dogs game, it would be a pretty easy win for us. Even though I did tip the Hawks, I just thought that, they probably weren't going to win anyway. But, you just never know. Last year, I remember they won this fixture, and then we bet them later on in the season. But we should have won that game against them last year. And if we had have won that, got 14 wins, we probably could have been maybe 5th spot. So, I don't know. I do think that I will back in the Saints, though. I just can't really trust Hawthorn yet. I think they have been too disappointing this season. I'm going to back in the Saints by 21. We should be able to get the job done. I'm pretty confident. Even though it is at UTAS, anything could happen here. But I just think that the Saints are going to win. And I have a feeling we'll score big because I do know that Hawthorn's backline is, again, a pretty poor side, just like North Melbourne's. So I'm going to back in the Saints by 21. My big call is going to be both sides kick above 80 points. I think that the Hawks will be able to actually kick a lot of goals. I think that I would just want to see our defense power off a bit and us to be kick a few more goals like last week. So yeah, Saints by 21 there. Then at Saturday twilight, we have Essendon taking on the Giants. Now, this is going to be a pretty good match. You'd probably be thinking the Giants, but with the way the Bombers have been playing lately, they've pretty much won their last 4 if it wasn't for that draw, which they should have really won, let's be honest. But they take on the Giants at Marvel Stadium, Docklands. So, I don't know. I do like Essendon for the sneaky upset tit here. But I just think that the Giants should get them. I remember last time these sides versed towards the end of the season, Giants, mate, had a thumping 126-point win, but that was just a real off day for Essendon. As much as you say that Essendon have changed a lot now, they've probably back this season, and really, if they win this, I actually would say I'm going to do a power rankings video coming out soon. If they win this, I think that they probably might actually, I think they'll make the 8. They really do. But I just think that the Giants, they've been the better team this year, probably still. I'll back them in by 12, but I do think Essendon will put up a good fight. I just think that the Giants probably outclassed, but the Giants, they've been not concerning, but just a little bit shaky the last month, but I still think they'll get the job done by 12. Then at TIO Stadium in Darwin, we have the Suns taking on the North Melbourne Kangaroos, the Stella Duella Kangaroo, who are 0-8. They showed some signs against St Kilda, but at the end of the day, they were just versing an average middle-backed Spang middle of the table team, so you can't really take much out of it. The Suns, on the other hand, they had a disappointing loss, obviously, to Brisbane. With all their injuries, they probably should have won, but Brisbane were just too inaccurate, but they probably deserved to win that game anyway. So, I think I will back in the Suns. They should get a good response here. I'm going to back in the Suns by 20. I think that North will put up a good fight, but I just think that Gold Coast, I think North will show some signs. I don't think they'll be losing by much over 30 or 20 points now. I'm going to go with the Suns to win by 20. I think TIO Stadium could make a few changes there. Maybe, you never know, you could tip North for the upset win, but I think North Melbourne will continue their losing streak and go 0-9. Then at the MCG, on Saturday night, we have the Dogs taking on the Tigers at the MCG. Now, this game should it'll be a okay match to watch. I know that Richmond only have one win this year, but the way that the Dogs played, yes, they were in it for a game, but, this is where questions come into Luke Beveridge, and I think that, I don't know, I could say Richmond for the tip. And I actually do want to back in Richmond because the Dogs failed me last week. I could have got 5 out of 8, and then I would have been actually gone up the rankings in Super Brew because most people got 5 out of 8 too or lower. So, yeah, that did really annoy me. I shouldn't have backed in the Dogs in the end. But I do think that the Dogs have been the better team. They usually do respond after these poor losses. So I'm going to back in the Dogs. They need this. If they lose this, I honestly don't think finals is on. I don't think finals is a chance anymore. 3 and 6, it's tough. So I'm gonna go with the Dogs to win by. I think they should get the comfortable win by 25 points. I think Richmond will put up a fight, but the Dogs, they play. I think. I'm not sure, like 3 out of their next 5, they play final sides from last year, so they'll be looking to get a win here, because if they don't win this, I seriously don't think they'll make the 8 with the tough fixture coming up in their next 5. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Dogs by 25 there. Then Sunday, Arvo, we have the Eagles taking on the Pies at Marvel Stadium. Now, the Eagles, they play pretty well against the Pies. Yes, they've had a couple of losses against them recently, but they've shown fights. Last time they did lose by 63, but we have to remember that Collingwood kicked 7 goals and there was only like 15 points in it. And then in 2022, they actually won this fixture in 2022 towards the early season of the year, but they weren't going too great. So yeah, West Coast, they don't play Collingwood too badly, but Collingwood, wow, they've really shown up. They've probably won 5 in a row now, really, if you look at that, with that draw. But I just think that Collingwood, this should be a pretty... it's at Marvel, so you never know. West Coast do play pretty well at Marvel, but I think Collingwood, they're just too strong. I will back in the Pies by 33. It should be an easy win here, but I think West Coast, if Harley Reid's playing and Shuey and Yo, I think that, it won't be as big as a margin as people think. I'll go with Collingwood by 33. Then at the Adelaide Oval, to end off our round, we have Adelaide taking on Brisbane. Now, both sides have been disappointing to start off the season. The Crows probably getting a bit more into form now. Brisbane, they haven't been playing too well as of late. Obviously, that good win over the Suns, even though they do have a lot of injuries coming into this game. The Crows just were probably better, though, on the weekend against the Power. I thought the showdown, they continued their 3-game win streak against the Power, and they won. I'm going to back in the Crows. I just think that Brisbane, they have, I don't know who it is, but they have a couple of injuries coming out of that game. And I seriously think that who's been playing better this season is tough, but I still think the Crows have, even though with their 0-4 start. So I'm going to go with the Crows to get a comfortable 23-point win at the Adelaide Oval. I just think that they've been the better team. I think with Brisbane's injuries, they should win. This could be, again, a 50-50 game, but I'm going to go with the Crows just to pack them in at the Adelaide Oval. If they win this finals, I think it's back on track because they will now be 4-5 or maybe 4-6. But yeah, Adelaide by 23. So there are my tips, everyone. I went with D's by 16, Cats by 45, Fremantle by 14, St Kilda by 21, GWS by 12, the Suns by 20, the Dogs by 25, the Collingwood by 33, and the Crows by 23. So if you did enjoy this video, please do hit the subscribe and like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.